I find myself plunging deeper and deeper into the black waters of nihilism. I can feel myself circling the drain. And nihilism is something that I've managed to stave off for a while now, tempting though it may have been to give into it and to cease trying to find ways to view life as a positive thing. It would seem that I've come full circle in a way, because in my younger years, in my teenage years, I was an atheist and didn't believe in God, and I didn't believe there was any point to the universe. I just had the kind of Reddit tier, Rick and Morty-esque nothing matters attitude, and thinking I was really original while doing it. And then in my 20s and early 30s, I started to come around to the idea that maybe there's a God, maybe there's something to Christianity. I read the Bible, a few different versions of the Bible, and I liked to think that even if everything that was in the Bible wasn't strictly, it wasn't a historical account of what happened, it was more just a collection of stories that were meant to guide people and serve as an example of how to live a good life. I still thought that maybe there is a God up there, maybe there's a creator. And I believed that for a few years. And then I started to drift away from that and started to see the world in a similar way as I saw it in my younger years, in my nihilistic years. However, I wouldn't describe myself as a nihilist during that time, more as an existentialist. So basically I thought, there's no point to life, so you might as well just do what you want and enjoy yourself as much as you possibly can. However, now I'm afraid my existential crisis has morphed into a nihilistic crisis, and that's because I can't enjoy myself anymore. I just don't seem to be capable of gaining any kind of pleasure out of most things. And I've come to view existence as basically being a curse. I don't have any children myself, and for a few reasons, I'm never going to be having any children, or at least I don't plan to have any children. And I am now of the mind that there is absolutely no way you can justify morally having children. I don't think there's any way you can justify snatching somebody from the ether, from the state of non-existence, from the ignorant bliss of oblivion, and then putting them into this world where you have to deal with unemployment and constant expenses and health problems, mental health problems. It's just an utterly miserable place to be. And I, for one, do not plan to inflict this life on anybody, because that's what you're doing when you have kids. You inflict life on them. Now, some people will have better lives than other people, and I'm not an anti-natalist by any means. I'm not saying nobody should have kids. I'm of the mind of, if you want kids, have kids. If you don't want kids, then don't. And the people who want to be parents will be the best parents, and those who don't really want to and their heart isn't really in it, they're going to make for lousy parents. That's just common sense. But either way, bringing a child into the world is a non-consensual act. And, we live in this enlightened age, in 2026. It's all about consent. You have to consent. But bringing, a baby into the world, the baby doesn't get asked. It doesn't give its consent. It's not capable of giving consent. You are bringing somebody into the world who, when they get here, may realise that they don't actually want to be here, which is kind of the predicament that I'm in now. I've tried to enjoy life. I've tried to engage with it and deal with it in my own way. I've read lots and lots and lots of books, and I've tried to experience things. I've tried to do a little bit of travelling. I've tried to get on with people as best as I can, because you're always told that people are, it's interesting meeting new people. And personally, I've only ever found it tedious. I've never found it particularly interesting. I could probably count on one hand the amount of genuinely interesting people to me who I've met. And funnily enough, they were all at one workplace that I had, but I won't go into that now. And that doesn't count my family either, because, I do love my family dearly, and I spend time with them wherever I can. But I'm talking about people outside of my immediate social circle. I never find any of them interesting, and I find so many people to just be the same. They even look the same. I don't know if you've ever been out and about in town or something like that, and you see a person and you've not met them before, you've not met them before. It's not like they look familiar to you in any way, but they do look familiar. They look like a thousand other people that you've seen in your lifetime. And if you hear them speak, then they speak in the same way as 1,000 other people that you've met in your lifetime. Say if it's I don't know, just as an example, a lady in her 60s, she'll speak in the same way as other women in their 60s, and she'll have similar speech patterns and things like that. And there doesn't seem to be very much variety. And try as I might, I've never been able to find it interesting. I've never found it to be a particularly worthwhile endeavour to go out and get to know lots and lots of different people. And that's because most people are NPCs, they're normies. That's the way it has to be. Not everybody can be a rugged individual or anything like that. Most people have to conform. That's the way society works generally. That's the only way to make it work. That's the only way to keep the wheels and the cogs turning, is for most people to be ordinary and unremarkable. And it's a depressing thing, especially when you think that most people you meet have got serious problems of their own, or maybe not serious problems of their own, but they will encounter things throughout their life that are just, a lot of it is too difficult to bear. And people say, yes, you get ill. Yes, you deal with unemployment, you deal with money problems, you deal with, in our times, hostile governments and elites who don't like us very much, and there's the threat of going to war, and they'll say, it's all part of the human experience. Well, it's a crap experience. It's like, I don't know, it's like if you went surfing in the ocean and you fell off your board and you get a load of seaweed and salt water in your mouth, and then a shark comes and it bites you on the backside, and then you climb out, all bloodied and, lungs and stomach full of seaweed. You crawl out onto the sand, onto the beach, and then, some dickweed just comes over to you and goes, it's just part of the experience, bro. No, it's not a good experience. That's not an excuse, It's just a cope. That's pure copium. Just a way for most people to deal with the misery of what they're forced to go through, I suppose. So yeah, that was all I wanted to say in this video. Hope it made some sense. This gives a clue as to my mind state at the moment, I suppose. But I'm trying to get better. I am going through a bit of a serious, disillusionment with life and with everything at the moment. It just seems like everything is just a flipping minefield, or it's a maze that you're having to run through. Life is just a labyrinth with a minotaur chasing after you all the time. And, oh man, I'm tired of it. I'm sick of it. I don't know. I don't even know what to say now. But yeah, if you've got this far, if you made it to the end of the video, I do appreciate it. Thanks to all my subscribers and to everyone who comments and likes the videos. Yeah, leave a comment on this one. Let me know what you think. I know these videos aren't particularly entertaining, but these videos are just me getting my thoughts out. They don't always make sense. They're not always particularly articulate, but it's just a journal for me. It's not an entertainment product to be consumed. This is just my thoughts, and, they are what they are. Anyway, yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.